We're hanging out with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. We've been talking a lot of Kings Warriors, and excited to talk to our guest here, Stan Van Gundy, color analyst for tonight's game on TNT with Kevin Harlan and Ali LaForce. Alhambra High School legend. Shout out to the 925. Of course, former NBA head coach, Heat, Magic, Pistons, Pelicans. Stan, thanks for so much for carving some time out of your day to chat with us, man. How are you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll talk to you guys anytime if you're going to call me a legend. I mean, my God. I mean,
Alhambra High School's finest, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, flattery works, that's for sure. So,
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate you, man. Mike Brown was 13-18 this season as the Kings head coach. Doug Christie now 20-13 as the Kings head coach. They've made some changes in their personnel, but what's been the biggest reason that you have seen for their improvement here?
Well, first of all, and this is no knock on Doug, there really hasn't been a lot change. I mean, if you look at the underlying numbers, the offensive rating, I think was 8th under Mike. It's 8th under Doug. They've actually gotten a little worse defensively. Their net rating has stayed about the same. What they've done a better job of is, under Mike, they had that run where they had some tough breaks and were losing a lot of close games. And so that skewed the thinking on everything, but it's really pretty much a similar team. A little bit better, if you look at the numbers, a little bit better offensively, a little bit worse defensively. And now, like you said, they've made the trade. I think when I look at Sacramento, I sort of look ahead and say, okay, what's next? Because Levine's a very good player. He and DeRozan have both played well. Obviously, they've got Sabonis. They've developed a couple other guys. Malik Monk has played well. But that team's going to need a point guard going forward. And I think you've seen the turnovers increase since the trade, though lately it's been a little bit better. But they're playing without a point guard and point guard by committee. And that's, I would think, going to have to be the next step for the Kings. I mean, I think they're pretty solid that they're going to be in the play-in. It's going to be very tough for them over these last few games. They'd have to go on a really big run to make a push at Golden State in the 6th spot. And they've got the second hardest remaining schedule in the league. So they're going to have to fight their way into this through the play-in. And I look more down the road into next year. What's the next move for this Kings team?
We are talking, of course, to Stan Van Gundy, who is on the call tonight for TNT, along with Kevin Harlan and Ali LaForce. Stan, when you look at the way that you talked about the defensive rating, how difficult is it to change things in season like this and to improve once you get past training camp, once you get to past the trade deadline and whatever moves you've made are sifting out? How difficult is it to flip a switch with a group of players?
Yeah, it's not easy. And like you said, the trade changes too, because now you have guys adjusting to a whole new system. Your personnel is different. It just really changes everything in the way you go about things. And it's not easy. And the other thing is, look, over the last, it's been a gradual thing probably over the last decade plus in the NBA. Teams just practice less and less. So if you're not going to get on the floor and have practice time, if you're just doing film and walkthroughs and things like that makes it a lot tougher to change things also. And it's look, defensively with the Kings, I mean, obviously Mike Brown, a great defensive coach, Doug Christie, a guy who has a real defensive mentality, but it's not a great defensive roster. It's a very good offensive roster, not as great defensively, not a lot of rim protection, not a lot of size. I mean, you're essentially playing with DeMar DeRozan as your power forward. The Warriors also small, but the Warriors force a lot of turnovers. Sacramento doesn't do that. So I think the move for Sac is, if they could just, be an above average defensive team with their offense, I think they'd have a chance to be really good. But the West is deep, and I just I think it's going to be tough. You know, you look at where they are now, and there's not a lot of games left. They got to get ready to win 2 games in the play-in. If you could move to 7th or 8th, that's huge. I mean, people, I think, make the mistake of thinking, okay, it's the top 6, and then you're in the play-in and it's all the same. It's not. I mean, you know, like you're 9th, you've got to win 2 games, one of them at home, but you're going to have to win that second game on the road. You're 8th, you got to win 1 out of 2. You're 7th, you've got to win 1 out of 2, and they're both at home. I mean, every move up the ladder helps you a little bit. So these games are huge. I mean, that loss, which could have very easily been a win, that loss to the Clippers was huge, because then they lost the tiebreaker to the Clippers also. I mean, you know, and Zach had a great shot at the end of that game to win it at the end of regulation. And then Kawhi had to make a real difficult shot to win it. All these games are huge right now.
Yeah. Talking with Stan Van Gundy, broadcasting tonight's Kings-Warriors game on TNT alongside Kevin Harlan and Ali LaForce. What are some of the challenges as a coach because the Kings had some pretty significant roster turnover at the deadline? What are some of the challenges a coach faces when you bring in a bunch of new players and then you're trying to integrate them on the fly while also trying to win basketball games, which are so important, as you just said?
Yeah, look, that's really hard, and they've actually done a good job with it. I think Doug's done a tremendous job, but it's difficult, and especially with the trade they made, because, you know, that offense before revolved around Fox and Sabonis, and DeRozan, but Fox was a key guy, and he's a point guard, and now the trade, now your other key guy is a wing guy in Zach LaVine, and so, you know, you can't play the same. It's not as easy as just plugging Zach LaVine into what De'Aaron Fox was doing. You've got to have a different approach. And again, with very little time, very little practice time, and you're just plugging it in. I think it helps that, you know, you've got smart guys, but it's not easy. And then Sabonis out for basically the last 6 games, played a minute against Houston. I mean, you know, that obviously creates a significant change too. So they have not had it easy. I looked at this team this year, and I think one of the reasons that they've maybe struggled and been around that 500 mark is it's really a season in 4 segments. You know, they had the Mike Brown segment, and they lost a lot of close games. And then Doug Christie, now coaching change, same roster. And then you get to, you know, early February and you trade a franchise cornerstone in Fox, bring in LaVine, different team for Doug Christie. They played 10 games with that team, and you're starting to bring it together. One of your all-stars, Domantas Sabonis, goes out. Now we're changing again. You know, it has not been easy. This team has not had a whole lot of continuity, and hopefully over these last stretch they can get Sabonis back, play together, develop some momentum going into the play-in, and be ready to make a run.
We are talking to Stan Van Gundy, of course, analyst for TNT, who will be on the call tonight with Kevin Harlan, Ali LaForce. Stan, when you look at the Golden State Warriors, they also made a huge shift in their roster at the deadline, and they seem to have I don't know, like they've hit the lottery here. They're 12-2 since the trade. How has Jimmy Butler changed that team? And when you're watching him, like, just how much of this do you think is sustainable? How much is it just a really good coaching job by Steve Kerr?
Look, I think that the biggest thing that Jimmy Butler has brought, and it's sort of an intangible, but I think it shows up pretty clearly when you watch them, even when you listen to them talk before and after games. Like, that team now believes that they can contend, that they can beat anybody. Before, you know, they thought they were pretty good, but there was not that level of belief. There certainly was not that level of energy and enthusiasm on the floor. This team is playing like they can beat anybody now, and you can see it. And I'm not a big intangible guy, but you can see it with this team. The belief, the enthusiasm, their demeanor, everything. And I think Jimmy Butler, with his swagger, with his toughness, with his winning pedigree, has brought that to them. And you look, they've improved at both ends. The bigger jump's been on the offensive end, but they've improved at both ends of the floor. They are a tougher basketball team. So if we look at the offensive end of the floor, they have much more of an attack mentality since Jimmy Butler has come. Fast break points are up. Paint points are up. Free throw attempts are way up. Offensive rebounds, second chance points are up. So all those attack categories. And then on defense, a team that had been good defensively all year since Jimmy Butler's come now, number one in steals, number one in turnovers forced, number one in points off of turnovers, which, you know, on February 21st is basically how Golden State beat Sacramento. They forced 24 turnovers for 38 points in that game. You know, this is just the whole Golden State mentality of how they play the game has changed. That's how Jimmy Butler plays, always on the attack, and now that's how that Warriors team plays.
Stan, you mentioned something earlier. I want to getting away from the game tonight briefly. You mentioned earlier Domantas Sabonis being one of the Kings All-Stars. He was not an All-Star this year, and a lot of it came down to the coach voting. When you were a coach, how seriously did you take that All-Star voting?
I took it really, really, really seriously, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, when you coach and you're around players, you know how important it is to them. Mm-hmm. And because it is really important to them, I thought as a coach, I owed it to them to spend some time going over that. I had my analytics guys come up with stuff. I talked to my assistant coaches and got more opinions. And I spent a lot of time going over that to do the best job that I can. I thought Sabonis should have been in the All-Star game. I thought that he was having a better year than Şengün was. I thought he should have been in there. Now, my question has been, and I don't know this, and it may be unlikely, but I don't know if maybe that affected him, because if you look, you know, Sabonis is really struggling. He's really struggled in the month of February. I mean, his numbers were all way down. He was down to averaging under 16 points a game. His shooting percentage dropped from over 60 to 53. He went from right in the top three in the league in three-point percentage. He shot 23% from three in February, and he only shot 66% at the line. It really dropped off. And then, of course, he got hurt. Actually, Valanciunas has stepped in and played better than Sabonis did in February. So I don't know if that whole process frustrated him, got to him, but he hasn't been the same guy. Let's just put it that way.
Stan, you've been very generous with your time. We appreciate the heck out of you, man. You do a really great job on the broadcast, and we're looking forward to listening to you tonight. All
right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stan. Take care. There you go. Stan Van Gundy. You can hear him tonight on TNT with Kevin Harlan and Ali LaForce. Bay Area guy. Went to Alhambra High School.
Him and his brother, but like little guards, right?
You know what I like about Stan, and obviously it's really difficult to, and we talk about this all the time, how hard it is to cover a league. Mm-hmm. Because that's 30 teams